Hi there, welcome back. It's been a while since I posted a video, mainly because of weather and equipment issues. And today I continue to struggle with equipment issues. This recording today was made on December 24th, 2020, Christmas Eve. And I did a test before I started, and it passed the test, and the test was a mic check. And then I realized when I got back and started looking at the video, the sound was missing. So something had gone amiss. But I did discover that I totally inadvertently fixed the problem after without even realizing there was a problem. Essentially, it was a point where I stopped to adjust the camera, which suggests that a connection had become somewhat loose. And that's important because the equipment problems I was having was back to a previous experiment I did where I attached the camera to my hiking staff, and I wasn't happy with the result because it's stuck on the hiking staff. And my theory is, whenever I wrapped the ground with my staff, it would leave a thump on the recording, and it was very distracting. So I got an external mic eventually, and this was a long and winding path to get there. Um, has to do with compatibility issues and the kind of mic and so forth. But eventually I did get all of the various things that I needed, which was essentially the external mic, an adapter for the GoPro 12 so that I could attach a 3.5 millimeter device to it, and then an adapter for the adapter so that I could use my TRRS mic with a TRS connection. And that probably makes no more sense to you than it does to me, but just take my word for it. It's all critical. It's all very important. And now I know it, so you don't have to know it. I will know it on your behalf. So anyway, that's part of what I was talking about on this video, and I'm just going to talk until the sound starts on this one. And this is all done post production and be added in using my software. So what we're doing is entering into the greenway, which as you can see is not green right now, it's rather white. Because we did get a little bit of snow, and that is a little bit of snow. That's for mid-December. Actually, I guess it's getting late December now, Christmas Day as I'm recording this. That's not much snow for around here. It's been a very, very mild winter, and not a single person that I know of is complaining. We're all very happy for our mild winter this year. Ordinarily, the snow would be about knee deep by now, and it's been relatively warm. We didn't get any snow in October. We got some in November. Usually, sometime in November, any snow that we got in October is gone, and the we do occasionally get some what I call thaw days where it gets above freezing. We didn't get below freezing very much until November. Usually November it goes below freezing and then it just stays below freezing with a couple of days exception. So that finally happened in December. Finally got to the point where it got below freezing and pretty much stayed there. Although we are getting into a warm spell now. It's supposed to get up close to freezing today. And it was, as I recall, on the 24th, on yesterday, it was 18 degrees Fahrenheit, which works out to I think 7 or 8 below Celsius. I could do the math in my head, but you know, I'm not going to. So we were just walking along here and basically remarking on how the we have all that frost up in the trees, and it looks very spectacular. That's because that morning we had a case of freezing fog where we had fog and it was below freezing. So when the that very cold moisture comes in contact with trees and whatnot, it forms that frost. I believe they call it hoar, HOAR, um, on the trees, and it looks very festive. It's a huge mess actually, but it does look very festive. We also had noting some tracks. You see, it looks like some cross country ski tracks there. Somebody came down that hillside. That's the berm or the uh, what do they call it? Levee that protects us from the river. When all this stuff thaws out and turns into the river, and the river uh, exceeds its banks and comes out and floods the city, which hasn't happened since 1997. So partly because they have built these big levees and seawalls, floodgates, and so forth. So apart from that, so got the hardware situation situated, and we got the weather under control. And as you can see, we've got some areas where there's not even any ice or snow or anything on the ground. And at some point, I became concerned about if anyone was worried about my me going to slip and fall. And we'll talk about that. We'll go past the point where I had my accident last year. But I am well equipped, and on this particular day, I was experimenting. And at some point here, I'm probably going to give you a shot down um, showing the ground and seeing that I'm actually wearing tennis shoes, which turns out to be really good on ice. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Because like tennis shoes are designed to give you a lot of traction, a lot of grip on those tennis courts, so that you can quickly and agilely chase the little ball. I don't play tennis, and the only reason I have tennis shoes is because a particular ex-girlfriend wanted me to learn how to play tennis, and she didn't want to teach me how to play tennis. She just wanted me to learn how, so that you'd have somebody to play tennis with. Um, she is an ex-girlfriend, so I don't have to go through that again. But I do still have the tennis shoes, and we'll probably see them here in a moment. Here we were looking at some tracks. You see, there's all kinds of tracks going along out there. Those are probably mostly human tracks, people walking out in the snow. And I probably mentioned around here somewhere that I had hoped to, yeah, there's some tracks. I had hoped to do a video with my snowshoes on, and I would go out walking through the snowfields, and we'll see how that works. Here we go. We're going to see my shoes here in a minute, I think. We're looking at tracks now. They're kind of hard to see, but yeah, you can kind of see there's some tracks down there in the snow. And then we would identify some of these tracks here. I think that some of those are rabbits. You can see the rabbits, they leave two in the front and one in the back, because I think their butt hits the ground when they hop. And you'll probably also see at some point up here oh, there's my shoe. You can see my tennis shoes. And they work quite well. You feel very comfortable. I do also have crampons, which I know some people object to me saying crampon because it rhymes with a piece of feminine hygiene product they don't want to hear about. So I try not to say that anymore. But crampon has nothing to do with the feminine hygiene product. And there goes the cross country ski trails, and you can see dots on the side of it. That's where their ski poles went. Uh, if you're wearing snowshoes, you're not supposed to walk on the cross country ski trails, because the cross country skiers reuse those. It gets packed down and makes it easier for them to ski. And here comes the jogger. People also come out here and jog. He's not wearing crampons, wearing like running shoes. So at any rate, yeah, the tennis shoes turned out to be a pretty good option. Though when I was shoveling snow this morning, we got a little bit of accumulation. Um, I was wearing my crampons, my corkers, and that works out really well when you're doing snow removal, because they do allow you to bite down a little bit and push better. I think I haven't tried it with tennis shoes, though they might work very well for that too. I'll have to try it someday. I guess the lesson from all that is always be willing to rethink your strategies. In this particular case, I had for living here for 7 years, I've been struggling with how do you get around walking on snow because I do like going out for walks and I like doing it regardless of what the temperature is. And unless it's below 0 Fahrenheit, I don't like walking below 0 Fahrenheit. That's a little too cold. But so I did what I usually do when I'm in a situation, I'm in an environment, I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do, is I just look at the other primates and be a good primate and do what the other primates are doing. So I start paying attention to what the locals wear this time of year when they're out walking. And I found that by and large, people wear running shoes and tennis shoes and stuff like that on the ice. And so I figured, well, maybe I should try that. They've been here longer. So I did not grow up in this environment. I've only lived here for, oh, not quite 8 years, 7.5 years now. And so I'm still very much learning, even though I'll be 68 tomorrow and I don't have much capacity left in my brain to learn anything, but may as well try anyway. So, so I gave that a shot. I did that little experiment, and that seems to have worked out in the positive. I don't think there are any guarantees you can still slip and fall on the ice. I'm not sure what I was looking at here. There's probably tracks or something like that. Um, yeah, I was trying to show off some of the tracks and identify them, but you can't really see them here, so I'll never do that again. You can kind of see them. But at any rate, I was looking for anybody with any kinds of crampons on, and sometimes they do. A lot of people do wear them. Um, and I've had corkers, and they're pretty good. They use these replaceable plugs, cleats that go into the big rubber thing that slips over your shoe. The the other kind I've had that I like a lot better is Yak Tracks, and Yak Tracks use coiled wires. They're like springs, and they form this kind of diamond pattern when you're walking through the snow. They actually feel really, really good. They feel as good as walking in tennis shoes out here in terms of how comfortable you are with your stepping. But the problem is they don't last. They're very fragile. And since like this particular walk ended up being about, according to my pedometer, about 7 miles, but I think it was less than that because I tend to take shorter steps. And there goes somebody jogging in their shorts. That's not unusual. And as I said earlier, 18 degrees Fahrenheit, about -7 or 8 degrees Celsius, and you will see people wearing shorts in that kind of weather around here. They're not just being tough. It's just, you know, it's not that cold. 18 degrees Fahrenheit is not particularly cold. So, although I'm wet, I'm dressed very well. I assure you. But anyway, what was I talking about before I got interrupted by the jogger? Oh yeah, yeah. I think I was talking about saying I was looking for the primates. You look and see what the other primates are doing, and then do more or less what the other primates are doing, because maybe they know something. And in fact, that's usually works pretty well. So I was looking at the other primates, and they all seem to be wearing tennis shoes and soft soled shoes like that when they're out walking on snow and ice. And gave it a shot, and it turns out it's actually pretty effective. So you know, never too old to learn. I think we're coming up here. You can see some sleds. And I got it. I'm not trying to recreate what I said when I was walking along here, but I do remember I made mention of sleds or sleighs or whatever, and I don't really know the difference. I think a sled is something that kind of drags, and a sleigh is something that runs on blades. I'm not absolutely sure though. And there we have, yeah, I don't think that's a person there. Or maybe it's a piece of a tree. Yeah, it's a piece of a tree. There were some kids riding their sleds down the levee and across the road. So and into the trees. And I believe on this tree line over here, at some point I'll look over there. Yeah, right about here. Now we're just looking at the tracks down there, and I might have been mentioning at this point that you notice there's some fallen trees over there in the woods. And I have observed some kids from the local neighborhood will come over and they go over there and they rearrange all of those well, not all of them, but they rearrange the branches and fallen trees and so forth to form little forts over in there. And I can relate because I used to be a little kid too, and I know I would have done that if I had the opportunity. Here comes a guy jogging towards us again. I think it might be the guy with shorts on. Yeah, it's the guy with shorts on. He went up there. He turned around and ran back. So at some point here, and I know it'll be when I stop for a moment to adjust something. I know that's when the actual real time recording will take up. So maybe around here, or maybe I was just looking. Yeah, that's where the sleds were going, crossing across the trail. And what else of importance is there here? Yeah, you can see how the camera's kind of tilted over to the side. It's not really. At some point here, I'm going to adjust that, and that's where it fixes the audio being turned off. And then the next thing that I'll have to learn is the art of adding this audio on top of the video so that it more or less follows along with what's going on. But if you notice, I'm not really saying too much that's specific to what's here. A couple of points where it connects to what you're seeing, but generally I'm trying to avoid that. So if it gets out of sync at any point, that's why. It's because I'm trying to learn a new skill. And yeah, we're coming up here to the big bend. And ultimately today, I might mention this later, but the goal for the hike today was to get to the state line, to the Red River of the North, which forms the border between North Dakota and Minnesota. And there's a little bridge. So at some point we will eventually get there. And I got there and I got home all in one piece and without any notable incidents. So that's just what's eventually going to happen. But meanwhile, um, yeah, you can see my shadow now. My my hiking staff in tow helping me, and the point of that is um, having that third point of contact is useful when hiking on ice and on slippery surfaces because it adds for your balance for one thing. And it also gives you a little probe so you can like poke at something if it doesn't look quite right. I think here's where the sound comes in. Nope, nope, not yet. At some point, I will stop and adjust the camera because it has kind of tilted over to the side. I guess it's not too disorienting, but it does look a little bit off, doesn't it? So coming up here, there's some people. There's those kids I was trying to remember earlier. And I knew there were kids actively out here doing their sliding or sledding down the levee, and there you can see the flood wall. Beyond the levee. So and there's their snow shovel. I guess they use that for some purpose, but I don't know how to sled because I didn't grow up in sledding country, so I don't know what they would do. I don't know what they would use their snow shovel for. I guess maybe to make more of a sledding trail sort of thing. There he goes. Zipped right across the trail. Fortunately, I wasn't standing there at the time. That would have been terrible. And then they're gonna get on, grab his sled by its leash, haul it back up to the top of the levee, and then do it again. I can't imagine anything that would be more fun than that. You get on this thing, and you grab it by the leash, and you pull it on up the levee over there. You get back on it, and you just slide down. You just do that over and over again. That's got to be the best day ever. So here we go with you know what I'm thinking? I wonder if the computer turns off you know the audio coming from this file while I'm recording on it. That would be another thing for me to learn. So let's
Struggling with the camera.
let's do an experiment here. I'm going to stop this.
That might be okay. We'll see. We'll see. This is still kind of experimental. Still toying around with technology and the toys. Now we're coming up into the place where a little over a year ago I slipped and fractured my patella. So this is a special place for me. Keeping a good eye out for ice, and hopefully I can avoid that. And just to be on the safe side, yeah, as I've been mentioning, I've been experimenting with different footwear to help avoid it. I have my staff, which I didn't have then. I have knee pads. I'll wear knee pads, wrestler's knee pads, so if I do fall, that should absorb enough of the shock that I won't break another patella. That was really inconvenient. It's like 3 months before it was fully usable again. It still doesn't feel quite right. Maybe it never will, but at any rate, you do what you can. Obviously, it isn't so far off spec that I can't go out for a nice little walk, ride the bike, that sort of thing. What else do you really need, after all? So, yeah, that looks like dog. That's what the dogs do. They'll go down and they'll run around in a little circle and they'll poop. I don't know why they do it that way. And they don't care if you watch them either. They just keep on pooping. They have a different relationship with poop, I guess. But no dog. So I can only guess what it might be. So, yeah, the walking's pretty good today. I was going to say, get that little bit of thaw over the next couple of days. We'll probably get more ice underlying, and that'll make it less convenient. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. No snow in the forecast that I could see, but that doesn't mean there isn't going to be any, because a lot of times we don't know there's going to be snow until like a day or so before the snow. If you see snow in the forecast for a week, it's probably not going to show up. If you don't see it a week later, you probably get some. We might get some snow. Who knows? There's some more winter scenery for you there. Wild North Dakota. Another benefit to this microphone is it has a built-in, I think they call it a squirrel tail or something like that. Squirrel. Basically, it's covered, so the wind should not be as bad. Really windy days on the bike, I just couldn't even say anything. Anybody would have heard it. So I don't think that's the case with this. We'll find out. It is kind of windy. Intermittently, it's not constant. As they say, it's the wind that gets you. Yes, like in the teens. You might get to 20 today, Fahrenheit, which is not much further, not much less below freezing than what I said earlier for 18. It would be like another degree, I guess. So, here we're coming up to the golf course. I doubt they're playing golf today, but we'll see. I've heard somewhere, and I may have mentioned this in another video, and I don't know if it's true, it's just something somebody said, that North Dakota has more golf courses per capita than any other state. And I can kind of believe it, because we got a couple here, we got another one further up. Oh, that might not be a golf course, it might be a frisbee golf course, I'm not sure. And then there are golf courses all over the place. Very popular here. And of course, I think golfing in these conditions is probably challenging. But I'm not a golfer either. Probably know less about golf than I do about tennis. I don't really know anything about tennis either. But I do know that during deer season, they have, you can like lease part of a golf course and hunt deer there. I'm not a hunter, so yeah, this is one of those things I only have heard. I don't know how it works or anything. But that's part of the way they do that. Lots of deer around here. And of course, since there aren't really any predators anymore, I mean, there aren't any wolves around here. I guess theoretically there are some bears, but you know, deer are very prolific. And you got to keep the population under control somehow. You know, it's bad for them if you don't do that. You get overpopulated, and then the population crashes, and you end up with a bunch of starving deer all over the place. And that's no good. So, what are you going to do? Bring back the wolves, I guess. You can do that. Down towards the river. The river's actually down there. I don't think you can see the river from here. But, yeah, Minnesota's over among those trees. And I say there's two golf courses up here. What there is there's one regular golf course and there's one kids golf course. I probably mentioned that in the video. Watch that video. So, now you know. You watch the other video, you hear the same information. life in the modern world is like, isn't it? You keep going through, you keep getting information, and it always seems to be the same thing over and over again. I'm pretty sure that Joseph Goebbels had something to do with that. Marketing in it grand. Marketing was like my least favorite course when I was in college. Didn't really like marketing. But I paid attention, and that's why I know it when I see it and I understand what they're doing. The problem we have now is they've kind of extended, there's some new tracks, they've kind of extended the whole marketing theories into everything else, like in not just even inside your entertainment. There's marketing everywhere, which is fine if you know what you're looking at. It's very tiresome though. Somewhere down there's a sign that says don't feed the deer. There's usually not a deer around here. They're usually somewhere else. I don't think I've ever seen a deer at this particular location. All that ice up in the vegetation there is from the freezing fog we had this morning. Usually what happens, it gathers up and forms around a little crust on all the trees and various plants. Now, there's a couple of cars over here by the golf course. Maybe somebody is playing golf today. Not sure how you'd find your balls. I guess you could use a different color. Maybe they use orange or something like that. I think they do that in Arizona because they don't have any grass. So, use like green balls or something like that. So they find them. Arizona is another big state for golf, as I understand it. But again, I'm not a golfer. So no. Not sure why you would golf. I guess it's the same thing as taking a nice long walk. Only you have to knock some balls around and get frustrated with them. I'll just take a walk. Skip the frustrating part. What even that guy's getting into some snowshoes over there. Or possibly skis. Maybe we'll find out soon. They have their dogs. Dogs are ready. Dogs love snow. snowshoes on, so maybe it is okay to snowshoe. Yep, getting ready to snowshoe. This is the tricky spot here. Kind of steep. Easy to get out of control. You're caught unawares. Well, that's good. Means maybe I will be able to do a snowshoe video in the near future. Coming up on the signage here showing the cross-country ski trail, and you can see down at the bottom it says to if you're snowshoeing to be off to the side of the ski trail, and so you don't mess up the skier's track. The edge of tracks, please stay to the side of tracks. No snowmobiles. I have seen snowmobiles out here. They're noisy. So yeah, there's been people doing all kinds of snow activities here on the golf course. I don't know if it'd be possible to golf with snowshoes. Yeah, it looks like there's another crampon pattern there in the circle. Looks like it. Yeah, they headed out there to go skiing. They're off skiing. Don't see any snowshoe tracks though. Yeah, over here is the kids' golf course, and then over here is the regular golf course. I don't think you could golf on either of them right now, though, unless you're doing something creative. So, don't worry about that. I've tried several, well, a couple. Now, right now, as far as crampons, I have corkers. I have used yak tracks. Yak tracks feel really good on the ice, but they don't last very long. They tend to break really easily. They have like coils. I haven't seen any of those today. No, I'm not the only one that uses them, but They feel the best, but yeah, they won't even last me a full season. So with the Clerkers, which you can at least replace the cleats, but yeah, they're not entirely comfortable. So pick your poison. You go with the ones that are maintainable, durable, or you go with the ones that feel better. Of course, if you're a mountaineer, you have some really super heavy duty ones. Those are very expensive and way more crampon than you need for this. So we're almost there. Might be the more dangerous way to do it. It looks like I'm walking on solid asphalt here, but I know from experience that sometimes you can't even see the ice. I've actually detected ice. That's one of the things you do with the walking staff is test the ground in front of you, see if there's ice there. And I have detected ice, and can't see it. I know it's there, and you can't see the ice, though. It's totally transparent. All you can see is the pavement underneath. So at least you got a little snow. Probably a little better grip, I guess. So it seems anyway. Still got to watch your step. Very careful right now because it doesn't seem quite right, but I think it's okay. I'm still seeing other tracks, so somebody's been walking there. And, doesn't seem like they were slipping or sliding. It's probably okay, but I got to keep an eye on where I'm placing my foot. Make sure that I got one leg before I take it off of the other. If you know what I mean. Kind of a rhythm, which I have not mastered because I didn't grow up in this kind of conditions. crosses the river into Minnesota. See how far we get there. I've been across it a few times this winter, and I keep thinking the bridge is going to ice over, and I don't want to cross it if it's covered with ice. Bridges are notorious for black ice because they're exposed and have air on both sides of them and tend to freeze really quickly. Something like that anyway. But every time I've been here so far, it hasn't quite covered the entire bridge. Some people come by here. From the looks of it. Different kinds of footwear going on. I have seen deer here. I've seen deer just running across in front of that tree line. And I've been on the lookout for deer tracks. I saw them on my last walk when I didn't bring the camera. You can see them. You can tell because they have like cloven hooves, kind of. These 2 points. Yeah, I think those are deer. You can see the little 2 points there. These ones next to my foot. It's like deer crossed over here. Looks like they're heading that way. That's not a deer. It's a bush. Though there could be a deer over there and you wouldn't even see them. They blend in quite well. Spotted them, but only because I knew they were there, because I saw them cross the road. And then I looked especially hard. Right now I have no reason to believe there's a deer over there other than seeing those tracks. Those tracks might have been from hours ago. And the deer isn't going to stick around for that long. They got other things to do. They're busy. Places to go. See, it's kind of windy. And I'm wearing my Huntworth gloves. I have some more fashionable face gloves, but these are honestly unless I'm just going to Simonson's for coffee or something like that. Places like that. Where I want to make an impression. And I'll wear my North Face gloves. And here we can see the name of this bridge. It is the Pat Owens Pedestrian Bridge. Back in that's for what he did in 1997 after the big flood. Great recognition of whatever all those contributions he made to recovery efforts after the big flood. So they named this bridge after him. It looks like some kind of crampon going on there. Somebody had some kind of cleats crossing. must have come from the other direction. Over the river now, so you can see some of the tracks out there. That looks like possibly snowmobile. Somebody might have had their snowmobile out on the river. Yeah, that's definitely snowmobiles. Got them out here. And then down there, those probably, yeah, that might be dogs out here. Looks like a dog went over there and checked something out. Or not. Maybe it's deer. Sure. There's the north, looking north towards the city. You can't see the city from here. That's what it looks like. So, yeah, they cleared snow from the middle of the bridge, so that's why it isn't covered with snow. At any rate, I'm going to stop the recording. Well, I said stop the recording. Maybe it has voice control. Maybe it turned it off. We'll see. That's part of the experiment. But anyway, I was going to turn it off anyway. It looks like I've got plenty of time left on the memory card though, and plenty of battery life, so it should be okay. But yeah, I think it just thought I told it to turn it off. Anyway, I wanted to turn it off anyway. I might turn it back on as we're going back, because they were playing hockey and maybe you'd want to see that. So we'll pick it up there if we pick it up at all. So thank you for watching. See you later.